What's good, everyone? It's Noah back with another Fantasy Capitals and Wizards video. I will say, not going to talk too much about the Wizards this week, mainly focusing on the Washington Capitals as the NHL trade deadline came to an end. I know there's rumors that we might try to pick up a veteran goalie for the playoffs, but McLennan and Laviolette both said, let's give Vanacek a chance to start in the playoffs. I think that's a great move, allowing him and Sam Sundell to continue to develop. We did pick up two new players, though, including a old face that I'm glad to see back. So let's, before anything else, talk about where I'm getting my data. Of course, always from Sport AI. Link is in the bio if you want to download the app, learn more information about that. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So first things first, let's talk about the acquisitions and kind of break down what we needed to do to get those players. So obviously the big reveal, Marcus Johansson is back with the Washington Capitals. He hasn't played for us since 2016, 2017, which has been, it's been a couple years, but he's having a decent year on the new Seattle Kraken expansion team. 23 points in 51 minutes. We required him. All it took is Daniel Sprong, a fourth in this year's draft and a sixth in next year's draft. He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, and we only retain 50% of his salary. So we have under $1 million cap hit for Marcus Johansson. So that's a pretty steep price to pay for some people, but I don't think Daniel Sprong was this big prospect. A lot of people say he's 25 years old, hasn't even averaged 20 points, lacks a lot on defense. So I don't know why a lot of people are so angry that we gave up Sprong when he's already kind of post enter his prime. He hasn't made any real statistical or analytical developments to suggest that he can be the star player that he once was touted to be when he was drafted by Pittsburgh in the second round all those years ago. The other player is Johan Larsson, longtime Buffalo Sabre, currently from the Arizona Coyotes. We acquired him for a third-round pick next year. This was a little bit more puzzling of a move. He's a great depth center, 15 points, 29 games. Both of the Johansson and Larsson has actually produced these statistics in relatively limited minutes, both averaging under 15 minutes a game. So this could really go a couple of ways, but the way that the Capitals are right now, obviously 7-1-1 to really push to secure a playoff spot. But more importantly, we're getting a ton of injuries. So TJ Oshie is out, presumably for the next week or two with an undisclosed injury. And then on top of that, you have Carl Hagelin, who's out probably for the rest of the season as he gets a second eye procedure on that damaged eye they received a couple months ago. On top of that, John Carlson, also with an undisclosed injury. He can be out possibly for the rest of the regular season as there's only 2 weeks remaining. I don't know how worth it is to continue to have him play hurt. So that will comes down to, what is the fantasy impact of Marcus Johansson and Johan Larsson? So Johan Larsson is not someone that I would really recommend trying to, pick up or even put on a waiver wire. He really serves a depth role, third line, fourth line, penalty kill minutes on occasion, even on a terrible Coyotes team when he was getting a little bit more minutes and second unit power play time. He did show some flashes, but career-wise, he's never been much of a scorer or a playmaker, just a great energy guy, provides a lot of depth, particularly can play wing and center, so that's really valuable for our bottom six. The more intriguing prospect of the two is Marcus Johansson. Obviously, he's pretty far removed from an almost 60-point season that he had with us over 5 years ago, and he's been a journeyman ever since, but he has shown some flashes of being back to that crafty playmaker that we remember on the Capitals. Yes, he was on a terrible Seattle Kraken's team, so that's what offered him a lot more power play minutes, but he can fill in on the middle six, so on the second line or the third line, especially with Oshie out, and can serve a similar role to Oshie until he comes back. So in the short term, he may be an intriguing pickup if you're in a very deep league in fantasy, but in terms of the long-term impact, when we head into the fantasy playoffs, again, we only have 2 more weeks of the fantasy hockey season remaining. It remains to be seen. So in my opinion, Marcus Johansson will be a great short-term addition, but as other players come back, including TJ Oshie, he may be best left on the waiver wire as his role kind of dries up. Of course, he has the speed and he has the smarts to also occasionally fill in on that top line. So he could possibly be on that top line with Kuznetsov, with Ovechkin, or with Backstrom on the second line. So that's the thing. The Capitals love to juggle their players. That's very similar to how he played before when he was with us. He should be playing a similar role again. So in summary, he's a short-term must pick up, I think, in a deep team league. But in terms of longer term, it's a wait and see. Obviously, you don't have much time to wait and see in the playoffs, and that's why I suggest that maybe, he's just great to have back, but I don't know how much of fantasy impact he'll ever make for the rest of this season. So yeah, pretty quick video again with the Wizards. Nothing new with them. Only thing, Kuzma's out with the injury. Hachimura kind of stepping in, being a great fantasy contributor. Obviously, probably a pickup in a deep league if Kuzma continues to be out. But now that we're in the fantasy basketball playoffs, you don't have time to really wait things out and wait and see. So at this point, if you want to pull the trigger and you're in a deep league and need of a depth forward, Hachimura is worth the pickup. Besides that, everything else kind of stays the same based on the end of season recap that I posted last week with the Wizards. So yeah, pretty short video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you guys have any other thoughts or really excited, want to let me know about any sleeper players that you think I've missed or any disappointments that you want to talk about, just let's talk about it in the comments below. I'm excited to see what everyone thinks. And again, this is Noah, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, great rest of your week. Peace.